The goal of problem 5 is to find out which equations are parabolas, which ones are not, and you have to justify. It doesn't say here, but on the actual test, I'll ask you to give me a reason for each one. And so let's start off with the basic concept. To be a parabola, you have to have a y equals x squared, or possibly x equals y squared if you have a sideways parabola. But any parabola should be able to be written in this format. Here's the standard form for parabolas. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, which you've seen when we do the quadratic formula. It's possible you could have x equals ay squared plus by plus c. The point is, you need x and y both, and you need something to be squared, but not both to be squared. That's kind of the general rule. So you need an x squared, you need an x and a y, but only one thing can be squared. So let's go through each problem and find out if they're parabolas. So this first equation, it's already in this format. We just need to switch things around, like trade the place of these two, just switch their spots, and you get 4x squared, then plus 2x. If you really want, you could put plus 0 equals y. So this is already a parabola in standard form. The a value is 4, the b value is 2, and the c value is missing, it's 0. So the first equation is definitely a parabola because it can be written in standard form for parabolas. So highlight this as yes, that is a parabola. And you can write down the reasons in written form. I'll just discuss them. The second equation, you can combine terms. X squared plus 4x squared would be 5x squared. And on the left-hand side, you still have y equals. Is that a parabola? Absolutely. The a value is 5, the b value is 0, because there's not one, and the c value is 0. Y equals 5x squared has a squared term and a y. It's definitely a parabola, so we'll highlight that one. This is also a parabola. Check. Next equation, y equals 5x squared. That's the same as this one, so that's also definitely a parabola. So we'll highlight this as yes. This equation, you can identify as a line instantly. There are no x squareds, so it's definitely not a parabola. So this is a line. If you wanted to, you could get y equals mx plus b and solve that for y. You'll get a line. So this is not a parabola. It's a line. Next question, y squared equals 2x. If you divide both sides by 2, then you get x equals, I'll say a half y squared. It's the same thing as y squared over 2. That is a parabola. It's a sideways parabola. Instead of saying y equals x squared, it's the same thing, just backwards. X equals y squared. But it's still a parabola because it has something's being squared, and the other variable is not being squared. And that is enough to say that it's a parabola. I'm going to erase my work here so I have a clear space to work for the next problems. Alright, so this guy is also a parabola. This is not a parabola for sure, since it's already in y equals mx plus b form, which is a line, so that's a line, not a parabola. Next one, now here you have two things being squared, a x squared and a y squared. If you graph this on Green Globs or some other grapher, you're going to get a circle. So this is not a parabola because you can't have both x and y being squared. And then finally, here, there's no squared terms. It's not a parabola. End of story. Done. The final kind of question, which wasn't on here, which I will definitely ask on the test, is questions like this. Y equals, let's say, x plus 4 times x minus 2. This is definitely a parabola because if you multiply it out with FOIL or rectangles, your choice, multiply, 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 do FOIL, you get x squared plus 2x minus 8. That's after all the work is done from FOIL. I skipped some steps into my head, but if you multiply this out at the end after a few steps, you get here. And that is definitely a parabola because you eventually have to multiply the x times the x, which gives you x squared. So that would also be a parabola. All right, there's video 5. See you next time.